What is the worst movie you have ever seen? My parents took me to see John Carter, man. I didn't want to go, but they promised it would be good. I trusted them. I was hurt. Years later, after I healed, they took me to Monuments Men. Devastation. Edit the source material for John Carter is inspiring for sci-fi writers, and Monuments Men should have inspired a generation of historian soldiers. I don't want to say that the stories suck. They don't, and they are beautiful. The writing and direction of the movies did a disservice to true visionaries who helped build modern artistic vision. Vampire in Brooklyn with Eddie Murphy and Angela Bassett. This was back in the mid-90s. My dad and I both had the same day off during the week and would have a standing date to go to the movies together each week. I was very low contact with my mother at the time. The movie was so bad, we left before it was even over and went to get hot fudge sundaes instead. Lol. I miss my dad and our father-daughter dates. We saw so many other good movies together. Swing vote. I'll save you the time, so just a heads up for spoilers. The whole premise is that during a presidential election, there is a dead-even tie. The whole movie is about either side trying to get the last person in the country who hasn't voted yet to vote for them. In the last scene, we watch the dude walk into a voting booth and bam, black screen. The audience doesn't find out who he voted for. Waste of fucking time, lol. Tusk. It's a movie by Kevin Smith. The premise is just so strange. The effects are not great due to the lower budget, and there really isn't a resolution. Like, you get to the end, and it's kind of like, that's it. He doesn't get help saved. Are we just not gonna get closure? Is this other character just gonna get away with being a snake? What was even the point? Look it up. It's The Fanatic, starring John Travolta and directed by Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit. The first line of the movie, to give some context, is John Travolta saying "can't talk now." Bota poo. There's also a 7-minute scene where he stands in a mirror and repeats the word poppycock. Then there's the scene where they listen to Limp Bizkit and talk about how cool they are. The movie considered by most who've seen it to be the worst movie ever made. Plan 9 from Outer Space. It has aliens that are never seen, 3 zombies created by the aliens, and the last appearance of Bela Lugosi before he passed away. And even that appearance was mostly an extra in the Dracula costume with his arm covering his face. Camo. I saw it in college and 20 years later can still remember sitting on the floor and thinking, what the eternal fuck am I watching? We all had to go get high afterwards. John and Michael. I remember you both. There was one other dude I do not remember. Jack and Jill. Adam Sandler at his worst, playing both sides of an irritating brother-sister twin pair. And as bad as that sounds, the pacing, editing, and overall filmmaking is even worse. I don't make it past 15 minutes, but it would be hard to top this. Tusk. At one point it goes from okay, what's going to happen next to what the fuck? Seriously, I don't know why I finished it except for just being an absolute horror. And not like scary horror. Like it was a shit show, and the end, WTF. Hot Pursuit with Reese Witherspoon and Sofia Vergara. Like shotgun blast to the face bad. We saw this in the theater based on my wife's suggestion, and I still chose to impregnate her a month later. Questionable decision making on both of us. The Elf. To be clear, not the movie with Will Ferrell. It's about a Christmas elf that comes to life and starts slowly killing off a family. Horrible cringy acting. Plot makes no sense, and the worst CGI evil elf you'll ever see. Bunch of us got high, grabbed some cheap food and went to watch Sausage Party. I think I might have been too high because that movie was weird. It reminded me of those bootleg cartoon movie. There was something uncanny about it. I hated Mother so much. I was raging about it at work after seeing it, and a pretentious dude asked if I understood that it was a retelling of the Bible, and I went, oh yeah. I got all that. It's still a pile of shit though. I've seen bad films that were created with the intent to be campy or poor quality. But for a movie that legitimately sucked ass, and I couldn't believe I spent money and an hour and a half watching, was Skyline 2010. Wreck-It Ralph 2. God, it was so fucking cringy and uncomfortable to watch. They made Ralph a man-child being codependent on a fucking child. Like, what did the writers think when they came up with a plot? Jack and Jill. The French translation is probably part of the disaster. They didn't seem to give a shit. But even if I like Adam Sandler sometime, this was the most excruciating bus trip ever. It's a tie between epic movie and Meet the Spartans. I envy anyone who hasn't seen those absolutely god-awful pieces of shit. Fuck you, Jason Freiberg. How did I let you have my money twice? Not technically a movie, but the Star Wars Holiday Special. Best description I ever heard was it was so bad it came back around to being good, but then kept going back around to bad. Without a doubt, Gods and Generals, a 4-hour set piece of neo-Confederate propaganda that is allegedly about war, yet manages to have no drama or tension inherent in a wartime story. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, an actual garbage film. I think he's an awful filmmaker. That Halloween 2 is just abysmal and ugly. I don't think I enjoy an entire moment of that film. To this day I still get pissed off when I think about Battlefield Los Angeles. How dare they call that a movie? It remains the only movie I walked out of the theater angry. There's a few, but recently I could not stand Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Johnny Depp. Movies started okay then went downhill fast. What a creepy garbage. MST3K once riffed a movie called Beast of Yucca Flats that was so bad their jokes fell flat. It sucked the joy of a comedy show based on making fun of bad movies. Soul Plane is the worst experience of my life involving an airplane. Pete Davidson. Edit for context. Pete Davidson's dad died during the 9/11 attacks. I'm ashamed to say that I saw the pirate movie in the theater in 1982. It was just me and my divorced dad in a suburban cinema. A truly pathetic experience. Cheech and Chong's next movie, not the movie as most know it, the edited for TV version where they are harvesting diamonds and get abducted by aliens. Side Out, stupid coming-of-age film about a guy who leaves law school to play beach volleyball instead. Courtney Thorne-Smith is in it. Just terrible. Holmes and Watson. It was like the local high school theater kids wrote, directed, and starred in their own film that got international distribution. That I actually finished. Prairie Home Companion. Altman is like a 3 true outcomes hitter in baseball. And this was a big swing and miss. I was a kid, but I did technically see Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park on TV, and I hear that's considered pretty bad. Even by the band. The Village. It's just a Ren Fair. Modern day. Mostly self-sustaining. The entire movie happens because they refuse to acknowledge this. Fist of the North Star. Live-action movie with some decent star power. Is that so bad? I've watched it multiple times out of pure fascination. Gods of Egypt. A tragedy. So bad it should be recommended as a cure for constipation. Blair Witch Project 2 basically ruins the plot of the first film, and 75 of the movie is filler for an already pretty loose story. Thanksgiving. It was a low-budget horror movie on Netflix for a while. A lady literally gets raped by an evil turkey in one scene. The Avengers, not the Marvel Avengers. The steaming pile of crap from 1998. Only movie I have actually walked out of the theater. Saltburn because the director had to throw in a couple shock scenes to seek attention. Overall, I enjoyed the plot of the movie. Wonder Woman 1984. It wasn't even a fun bad movie like the first Suicide Squad. This movie was just awful in every way it could be. A Serbian film. Not even because of how offensive it is. It's just not a good movie in any regard. It's not worth anyone's time. Teeth. For those lucky enough to have never heard of this abomination, it's about a girl who has teeth in her vagina. Verotica. Directed by Glenn Danzig. Main stars are porn stars doing fake French accents. Real Oscar contender here. Cinderella with Camila Cabello. After watching it, I was genuinely upset that I had just wasted 2 hours of my life. Napoleon was the biggest letdown I have felt from a movie in a theater. I'll remember that disappointment forever. The Last Airbender movie. It's probably tolerable if you've never seen the original show, but also probably not. Alone in the Dark. Tara Reid. Yes, Tara Reid was a scientist. It was about as ludicrous as you can imagine. Was going to say rubber about a killer tire. But then I remember I saw most of the new Marvel movies. Thor: Love and Thunder. I got up once the movie was done and said out loud, In the theatre garbage. St. Elmo's Fire. I can't even fully explain it, I just found everything about it utterly insufferable. Controversial. The Revenant. I couldn't understand a single word. The accent was terrible. Old. It is so bad. Nothing plot. Nothing acting. The M. Night twist is telegraphed so hard. Tiptoes. You wouldn't believe if I told you. They tried to hide it, but I unfortunately saw. Grand Winner Dancer in the Dark with Bjork. Run-up Daredevil with Ben Affleck. Happened this week. Pandemic. Absolute masterpiece of bullshit. 0.5/10. Would recommend. What was that weird-ass dog movie Marmaduke? But it had Pete Davidson in it. Worst in what way? Human Centipede scarred me emotionally and haunts my nightmares. The Vanilla Ice movie Cold as Ice. I couldn't get through the RiffTrax version. Pinocchio live-action remake. He doesn't become a real boy at the end. I think you can tell a lot about a person by the movies they don't like. The Circle. I love Tom Hanks and Emma Watson. The movie was just so bad. The Love Guru. It was 90 minutes of cringe. I felt bad for the actors. The Hunted. Christopher Lambert. Walked out less than halfway through. Sharknadoes to 5. The sixth one at least had dinosaurs and time travel. Sky Sharks. It's about Nazi sharks that fly. It was ridiculous. Top 3 Xanadu. Thank God it's Friday and can't stop the music. 2 words Battlefield Earth. Oh my God, what a bad movie, dang.